Okay, here's part 2 of our tutorial. So far we've made this little dot, basically that's going to be our bullet. Now if you see here, it's the sprite one is highlighted, and then we can click here to go to scripts or costumes or whatnot. So as you can see, starting with the starfish, we have already wrote some scripts for it. Let's delete this. And then if you go to this sprite right here, we have no scripts, or we have no commands for this yet. So what our goal is, or not our goal, but what do we need to do is, you see this is the bullet, right? It needs to come out of my Patrick here. So it can't just be floating around. It needs to be somehow right here, but hidden. So what we can do is, when we push the green flag, what we can do is go to motion, and it says go to X and go to Y, but you don't want it to go to X 25 and Y 36, which that's where it is. What we want to do is, if you go to sensing, there's X position of sprite 1. Let's drag this out, and for the X position we drop it in, obviously the X, right? And sprite 1 is this. And because we're clicked on this sprite here, we don't want it to follow itself. We want it to follow the starfish or Patrick. So from here, wherever the starfish is or Patrick is, the X position of the starfish is going to go there. Okay, it's not happening yet because I didn't click this yet. And you can't just have it for the X grid. You need it for the Y as well. So what you need to do is get this, shove it in there, or drop it in there, and change the X position to Y position. And it's already at starfish or Patrick. So let's try this out. If you put this here and you click, there's my ball, right? So you see that every time I click the sprites, automatically turns into, or it flips into the script of that sprite. So if I push the green flag, what needs to happen is basically this ball, or the bullet, is going to be hiding inside the starfish. Boop! There it is, right? Anywhere you move it, it's going to move right in there. See that? Okay. So you see how it just lands right in there. Even though we may not see the ball, for some other sprites, or it may be, I don't know what else, what might be, what could happen is the ball will be standing right on top, just like that. So here, I push the ball. Oops. What about this? Okay, however, for some reason, it could be this way. So what we need to do, we need to make sure that ball is hidden. So if you go to looks, there's a hide function, and you're gonna have to drag and drop right here, because soon as it goes to X, this is all done in order. So as soon as it goes to X and Y to wherever the sprite is, right after that, it's gonna hide itself. I mean, of course, it's gonna be instantaneous, so our eyes can't catch it. Now we're going to learn how to shoot this ball from Patrick. So we're going to think of another way, or just start another command. This is a conditional, what is it, the box, like the conditional command. So if and then, because if you want this ball to come out of him, there needs to be an if and then command, because if something happens, then this ball needs to come out, right? So you pull this out. And what most likely is going to be your fire button, most likely the space bar. So if key space is pressed, it's all in sensing. If space bar is pressed, then what? So when the space button is pressed, we wanted to, let's duplicate this and let's throw this away. We wanted to go to the X position and the Y position. However, this time we want it to show. We want to show it because basically you got to see it come out, right? It's a bullet. In this game, basically we have a movement where we can move. Oops. The sprite or the starfish, right? However, there's another command where it will allow the sprite to move in a different direction. Different direction meaning it'll spin. Okay, so you're moving it from X grid and Y grid all over the place. However, you're going to be staying in place, but spin the sprite. And it's not just for the starfish, it's also for this sprite. However, this sprite is just a... Let's get rid of this. This sprite is just a circle. So yes, you may be able to move it, however, you can also spin it. But if you're spinning it, can you really see it spin? Can you really see a circle spin? A little tiny black circle? No, probably not. But however, it needs to be spinning in a certain way so that if this sprite spins, it'll spin. This will spin with the same angle, and it will come out and shoot that way. Okay, so for here, after you push the spacebar, I want it to move. I want it to move, let's say, it doesn't really have to be X or Y because you're just moving in a straight line that the sprite is pointing in. So you say, move, how many ever steps. Oops. Move how many ever steps. Now it's gonna be 10 steps. So if you're gonna stick this command inside, if key space is pressed, then move 10 steps, what's going to happen is the sprite is just going to move 10 steps and stop. But what we want to do is make sure that this thing goes all the way through and do something at the end, because it can keep on going. You might not see it, but it's going to keep on going. But we needed to make it stop somehow. And for a reason, being the game is that we want to do it where if it touches the edge, basically it just disappears. So let's see what we can find. Repeat until what? And if you hit sensing, it says touching. Let's see what they got. Mouse pointer or the edge or the starfish. It's not gonna touch the starfish because it's gonna be going out from the starfish. So the edge. So if you're thinking about it in a linear process where all the commands are, so if the key space is pressed, then the ball or this sprite is going to fire out and show, and this is going to repeat until it touches the edge. Repeat, moving 10 steps. So 10 steps, it might be a little slow. 5 steps, it's going to be slower because it's only moving 5 increments of 5 at a time. I don't know exactly what number I'm going to choose. Yeah, I'm just going to pick 20, okay? Just so that it's actually like a bullet. It's going to be pretty quick. Okay, now if we do this, we push spacebar once and it's going to stop. So what we need to do is, again, we need to wrap this entire thing in the forever loop right here. So it's going to happen forever every time you push the spacebar. So you connect this here. So if you push the green flag, this thing is going to go to X where the position of the starfish, then it's going to hide itself. Then in this forever loop, if you push the spacebar, it's going to shoot out. So let's give it a shot. Aha. So it's hidden. I'm moving with my key. I'm pushing spacebar. Aha. It shows. However, you see that how it stops until you shoot again? Let's try to do something with that. And you see how it still shows. So what I want to do is, you guys already know the hide function. So let's have it hide after it moves 10 steps, okay? But it's still wrapped up in the forever loop, so it's going to happen over and over and over again. Okay, it's going to hide itself. However, I want this to, let's duplicate this. So after it's done moving 20 steps, I want it to go back to where it was. Okay, let's give it a shot. Boom, boom! Shooting it out his mouth. So we want to add another movement command here. So let's get another event going, or let's get another command line going. So I want to do it where you push the flag and we're moving this way. However, we're only limited to shooting this way. So if we have the butterflies coming out from this side of the screen to here only, then I guess this is fine. However, we want it to have the butterflies come at random. Then we can add an extra movement command where the starfish will spin to the right clockwise or spin to the left counterclockwise. And I want to make sure when the game is starting that this is pointing in a certain direction. Okay, so point in direction. This is all trial and error. You gotta see, hey, what commands are there available and what can I use to do what? So point in direction, 90-degree angle. Let's give it a shot. So here, that's the 90 degrees right here. But let's change this to see what happens if you mess with the angle. So let's change it to 180 degrees. So if this is 90, 180 degree would be either this way or this way flat. Okay, there we go. Even though it's changing, the ball, this ball isn't, what is it? The direction of the ball that is shooting isn't changing because it's just tilting the sprite. That's it. So if you have a different sprite, like a spaceship or something that's pointy, and you want it coming out of the top point, then this is what you do. But for our purposes, we would use 90 degrees to make him come out of his mouth. Okay, so now what we want to add is turning. So turning clockwise and turning counterclockwise. Now how do we use this? So let's look at the control. Let's look at if. Aha, here we go, the if and then. The if clause. If what is pushed? What are we going to do? I guess we're going to look at motion. And if something is pushed. Oh no, the sensing? Yes, if some key is pressed. Let's say, logically, A, if you look at the keyboard, A comes before S. So if A is pressed, then we're going to have it turn this way, counterclockwise. Okay? So, if A is pressed, then turn 15 degrees counterclockwise. And again, always you want to wrap this in a forever loop. Everything is always wrapped in forever because you want it to happen forever until the game ends. Okay, now here we have the command for the A key, but we need one for the S key to turn clockwise. So if another if and then statement. If another key is pressed, which is S. Where are you, S? Here we go, S. Then you turn clockwise 15 degrees and you drop it all into the forever loop. And here you connect this. Let's test it out. Okay, I pushed the key and I'm pushing A. Here we go. I'm holding on to A and it's turning counterclockwise. Turning S, it's turning clockwise. And firing. Ooh, we haven't done that yet. It's still firing from everywhere. So we gotta fix it where wherever it turns, the sprite is pointing at that direction. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to duplicate, no, I don't need to duplicate this. What we do is just drag this entire thing into sprite 1 because you want the sprite want to follow the direction of the starfish so it shoots in that direction. If you drag it there, you see how it clicks back, and if you click sprite 1, you have to be careful here, it lands right there, and now you have two commands, which is the same thing. Okay. In this case, I would leave this command here because this first sprite is going to be turned to 90-degree angle, and this sprite will be turned to the 90-degree angle at the same time. So let's say I fire, I turn fire, turn fire, turn fire, turn fire, turn fire. Oh, you see that? Because the sprite is going to be facing the same direction and traveling at the same direction of the first sprite, Patrick. What happens is if you shoot and before it touches the edge, if you turn the sprite, it's going to try to mimic the same direction as the starfish. Look at that. Now you can make it go in circles. Okay. Kind of cool. But what I want to do is leave that problem to you guys to maybe somehow figure it out later on your own. because I just want to give you the bare basic minimum, so that one day, or after this game, which is very, this is the bare bone minimum of what you need to make a game, and we're basically touching on all the commands that are most likely used. However, after this game, or during this game, I want you guys to look at all these commands, see what you can play with, see what combinations you can make to do the sprite what you want to do.